I will start first. Okay, Sebas?
Okay.
Okay, let me see. All right. So, good night, everyone, and welcome to the first day of mobile track of MSP Tech Days Latam 2019. Today I have a presentation about mobile technologies. Okay, and today we are receiving here Sebastián, Microsoft MVP from Argentina, that will talk to us a little bit about Xamarin 4.0. Okay, and Sebastián, you are listening to us?
Yes. How are
Okay,
you?
Sebastián. All right. Okay, so you can start. All right, you can already share your screen first. So I will meet here my mic and my can. Okay, so I don't interfere with our presentation. All right.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you, Orlando. Hello to everyone. I'm Sebastián Pérez. I'm from Argentina. I'm going to talk about the past, the present, and the future of Xamarin Forms. And at the end, we are going to see some demonstration about Xamarin Forms 4. That is the last version. So let's get started with that. As an introduction, I will talk a little bit about my context. I'm leading a developer community in Buenos Aires that is called NetVirus. I live in Buenos Aires, and we are leading also an event that is called Xamarin Assemble that we are running it in a few days. Maybe if you are interested, you can look for some sessions, or maybe if you want to come to Buenos Aires, it would be amazing. I'm Xamarin and Microsoft MVP since this year, so I'm very happy to be here talking with you. You can look for me in the social networks, in Twitter, Instagram, as @Cebalio Pérez. So we can share some information, and any doubt you have, you can just talk to me and we can talk about that. Well, this is the agenda for this talk. We are going to do a short introduction to Xamarin, then to Xamarin Forms. We are going to see the path to the present version, that is the current version, that is Xamarin Forms 4. And then we will discuss the future of the cross-platform development of Xamarin and all the challenges that are happening now with the mobile development. So we have this Xamarin technology that allow us to share part of the code. In the past, we have to develop different platforms, different tools. We have to set up different environments. It was so upset, but using Xamarin, you use just one code for the logic, for the model, for the classes, and then you just have different views for iOS, for Android, and Windows, but you can share most of the code until more of the half of the code could be shared. It was an amazing change, because it was very bad to have 3 different developments for do the same thing. It was in the beginning. It is known as the traditional development of Xamarin, but then Xamarin Forms appeared as an option that just sharing the logic and the model, but also the views are shared as the XAML. So we have as most of the code shared. Maybe a 19% of the code is shared. Is amazing, and you have just a little part of the project that is different between every platform. We are going to talk about every stage in the mobile development. In first, Xamarin Forms was created. It had a developer license that it was so expensive. I think that something like $2,000 per developer. It was expensive for maybe for the startup, and also you have a tool that it was called Xamarin Studio in order to develop and create your projects. And you could learn from Xamarin University that it was a online class that you can have and learn about doing all the projects. It was in the first stage of the Xamarin development, and it was not so integrated with Visual Studio or maybe all the things that we know today. But then in 2016, we have a new version of Xamarin Forms, and maybe the most important thing in the Xamarin life, that it was the Microsoft family taking over the Xamarin development. It was a very, very, very big thing. We have since we have a free license to develop, no cost, and also all the Xamarin code was open source, and we have a better universal Windows platform integration and support. That it was amazing, because not all the people have maybe a mobile device to test, but everybody has a Windows device to test. And also you have you can deploy all your developments to Xbox and all the universal Windows platform family. So it was a very, 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 very big thing. About stage 3, we have Visual Studio for Mac. I'm using now a Mac, and the Xamarin Studio was deprecated, and then Visual Studio for Mac is the tool that you use now for development. It's the same thing, but it changed their name, and also they added some tools. You can integrate your solution with Hacky App. That is helps you to deploy your application to the stores. And another thing appeared that was called Xamarin Live Player, that allows you to deploy your application to some devices. The same for Android and iOS, without having connection by cable, just doing it by Wi-Fi, and you could deploy your application to the devices, and it was a very, very good thing, but it was very limited. So I don't know. Yeah, not many people are using it. At the end, .NET Standard appeared as an evolution of PCL that was very, very used at this time to develop all the shared code. So in the next stage, that is last year, we have a new version of Xamarin Forms, that was Xamarin Forms 3, that added a lot of things. That's Flex layout and CSS support, that was very, very important to the designers that were used to work with CSS in web design. And you can use the same CSS in order to develop and add to some styling to your application. And another thing was the creation of Visual Studio App Center. That was the evolution of the Hacky App. It saves it do the same thing. It helps you to deploy your applications, to have versioning, and also to test your application. You can use the Xamarin Test Cloud inside the Visual Studio App Center. So it's very, very, very useful. And also, you have now the Xamarin Essentials that there are a lot of Xamarin libraries that were used as plugins before, but now you can use it installing just Xamarin, and it is a very, 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 very amazing thing to get in the development very, 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 very fast. So using Xamarin Forms 4, that is the new development now, get a lot of improvements in the mobile development. We will talk about these things. We have some items to discuss, and then we are going to see some sample. In the first place, we are going to talk about accessibility. I don't know if you can take a look to the code that I'm showing in the screen. You have XAML in the sample, and maybe the thing that we are talking about is you can now add an attribute that is called tab index that allows you to, if you got maybe accessibility problems and you are using a screen reader, now you can set an order to the views in the XAML. The label in this case is the first one, and then the button. And if you can take a look to the first view, the label with automation properties that is set in false, when you are using the screen reader, it will be skipped. So this thing is very important to accessibility, that maybe when you are developing the application, you are not paying attention to that, but it is very important in order to integrate all the people into your application. Another thing is the collection view. There was a very, very, very interesting challenge about the collection view. The Xamarin developers started a challenge with the community that challenged you to create a known application view, whatever you want, maybe a social network or some application that you use, and you should copy your favorite application style and use it using a collection view, and it was very interesting. The thing is, as you can see in the sample, you can use this new control that is a view, and you can set you can create a grid in a very simple way using this collection view, using the items layout to set if you will use a vertical orientation or horizontal orientation, and then set your empty view if you have no items in your collection. But it is very simple to use, and it's a better way to use it as maybe creating a grid manually. And you can take a look to all the samples that were created using the collection view in the collection view challenge. It was very, very, very interesting. Then you have bindable layouts. This is a new thing that is very interesting, that until this new feature, you can just bind list views with the item source, but now you can bind a lot of controls, a lot of views as stack layout. Before you can't bind the stack layout, but now you can provide an item source to the stack layout and just define a template, and then you will see all the items in the item source as a stack layout. So it is very interesting, maybe in order to not create any list, but a stack layout to show your elements in the item source. And another interesting thing is that you have now more formats accepted as image. In the case of, maybe the new thing is that you can use fonts as image source. Before, you can't use a font. Maybe if you are using that font that has some drawings or funny things, you can now use it as an image, and you can, as it is a vector, you can change its size and show it very, very large or small without using an image, just a font. So it is very, very interesting if you are using fonts in order to show some drawings in the screen. Another thing is the Android fast renderers it was applied some versions before, but you have to set it in a line in the code in the Android project. But now the Android fast renderers are available for default. So if you are just using that, you will be using a fast renderer for some controls in Android. And if you want to use the legacy version, you can use it by a code line, but by default, you are using the Android fast renderer now. Well, we are taking the last thing in the Xamarin Forms for development is the shell. As you can see, we have 3 elements in the shell. That the shell development is a new way that you can create your application that is based in the navigation of your app. You can set up the navigation very easily. Just using these 3 elements, you can create your applications, doing a lot of visual but not coding. It's very simple. You just create the hierarchy of your application. You can just set the XAMLs, the views, and then in a very, very, very simple way, you have your application running with menu, with pages, with tabs, with the search bar. You have a very complete, very, very, very complete application using just 3 elements. The flyout, that is the menu that maybe you use it in Android as hamburger menu before. Is the menu in the left that you can usually see in the applications. You can also use tabs in the. It doesn't matter if they are located in the bottom of the app or in the top of, but you can use tabs and also tabs inside the tabs as sub tabs. They are supported by the shell. And then the content pages and the navigation that are set. We are going to take a look to a sample of coding. First of all, I will show you the same application in both platforms. If you can see, you have the same application. It looks very similar in Android and in iOS. You have a list of cats. And you can see these ones are the tabs that we are speaking of. And you have some animals. This sample is called Xanimals. You can find it in the Xamarin samples repository in GitHub. Yeah, we are going to take a look to the monkeys that are the representative to Xamarin, maybe. If you press in the hamburger button, you will see the same options, but you can set up this thing using the shell. The shell configuration is very simple, and if you can see, it looks the same in both platforms, and it's very intuitive. And then you can look the same thing in the search bar. We are going to take a look to, I don't know, monkey, and well, you can see that a lot of monkeys are suggested by the search bar. We are, I don't know, taking a look to one, and it's very interesting. Maybe if you see the applications and take a few seconds to think what yes, how much time do you need to make an application like that using the traditional Xamarin Forms, and take a few seconds to think all the classes, all the view models, all the controls, all the views, all the data templates, all the structure that you have to create to do an application like that. Take a look to the tabs. You have to do a tab view and also another tab view, because if you see at the cats page, you see that you have the general tab of animals and the tabs with domestic animals. So you have tabs inside tabs, and it is complex to do it in the traditional Xamarin Forms. Maybe you will be doing it a few days, but in Shell is so simple and so fast to do it. I will show you the code. Here you have the two traditional projects for Android and iOS, and then you have here the shared code that is called just Xanimals, and then we will take a look to the app Samuel, and if you take a look, you will have the resources that are shared for all the application that are templates. You have here the animal templates, and then if you take a look to the app SAML, that where your application starts, it just do a reference to the app shell that will configure all the shell. And if you take a look to the shell, you will be looking at the structure of the application. Take a look. The flyout item, if you remember, is the menu in the left, and you will see all the things that you are looking: the image, the icon, the title, the links. Take a look to the link. This is the navigation, how it works. You just point to a view, and you set the content template attribute to tell the application where you should navigate to, and the icon is just an image. It's very simple. It's very simple. This is a static resource just for styling. It's nothing about the shell. And then you have the shell content, that is the page, and the we will take a look to some view. I don't know, monkey page maybe. And if you see, it's just a collection view. That is the new control that we were talking about. Here are using an item source and an item template just to draw the collection view that we were looking at in the application. It's similar to the list view, but with more functionality. And another sample that we can take a look to is to do some page with detail. As you can see, this is the more simple page that we were looking at, because it just have a scrub view and a stack layout and views and controls. It's very, very, very simple. It has nothing to do with shell, but let's take a look to the view model also. It has nothing to do with shell, but the thing is to set up the structure of the application here. You have the layout, you have a tab, and then in the tab you have some content, one for cats, one for dogs, and you just point it to a view, and doing that thing, you are just going and navigating to a new view. And it is very simple to create an application using a shell. I think that is a very useful tool in order to create an application very fast. But you have to be careful about using it if your application will be so complex. Maybe if you are thinking of a social network or something that will be very complex, I will choose the traditional approach of Xamarin Forms, using your manually and usual navigation, not the shell. And also, if you are planning to use some framework as MVVM Cross, I will also choose the Xamarin Forms or the traditional approach, because the shell for the moment is not compatible with that frameworks. So I will say that I really think that is a very useful tool in order to create a prototype and to have a functional application with menu, with tabs, with lists, and just to show information and navigate it simpler is very cool and very fast. But not to have a complex application that maybe uses I don't know, a complex functionality. If you are planning to do a game, if you are planning to do a social network, if you are planning to stream videos, I don't know, if you are planning to do a complex functionality, I would recommend to use the traditional approach. But if you are planning to do just a prototype and you have to do it faster than before, and maybe your customer is asking for an app to have, and you have to create in a short term, you can use shell, and it's very simple to use, and it's very good. So I recommend it just to do a prototype for now, but I think that it will be a very cool thing in the future. So let's continue with the presentation. Another thing that is added in the last version is not 4.0 but 4.1. That is a pre-release. It is the checkbox control. That is a new thing. It's maybe a simple thing, but it's very important to have it. I used to work with web development, and I used a lot of checkbox. So I'm very happy to have checkbox in the mobile development now, and it looks very cool. For me, it's cool to have it. And well, you can look it in the screen, and you will have both versions, the Android version and the iOS version, and they look good. I'm very happy to have it. Yes, it is a good thing to have. And all the things that you are looking at, most of that are provided by the community. So it is very important to be active. And if you are developers and you are using all of these features, maybe it is a good thing to take a look to the Xamarin Forms code. And if you want, you can create your own functionality. A lot of these things are created by the community, so it would be very cool that you can create your own control or your own view or functionality to the next version of Xamarin Forms. Let's talk about some challenge that are going to happen in the short term and maybe in the future of Xamarin Forms. The first thing to talk about is .NET 5 that was announced in the last Microsoft build. It was a very big thing. I think that is amazing. All the things that you can do now with .NET Core. I think .NET 5 will be a very amazing thing. I am so anxious to have it working, and I think that it will be great in order to have one code for the web applications and the mobile applications and all the applications. It will be definitely the future of Xamarin. So it is very important to be updated with this new feature when it is. I think it will be released in the next year. So it will be definitely important to the Xamarin Code. Another important thing is that the Xamarin University platform is not available anymore. You can find all the content that were in Xamarin University now. You can find it in Microsoft Learn platform, and I really like it because you can create your own user, and you have your profile as similar to a game. When you have points and experience and all the thing that you have in a game, and as you are when you are completing all the lessons, you are earning some points and growing your experience and creating a very strong profile. It is a very good thing. I think that is funny to do it, not just learning, but taking fun. Having fun is very good thing. And also the Xamarin blog is not Xamarin blog anymore. It's now Microsoft Dev Blogs. If you look for Xamarin blogs, you will find the link to the Microsoft Dev Blogs and with the Xamarin category. It's the same thing, but with a different style. And one interesting thing is what is going to happen with the Android RSK management. There is some tools to configure it automatically, and it is interesting because since the first version of Xamarin Forms, a lot of people is having problems with the RSK management of Android. If these tools provide a solution, a real solution to that, it could be an amazing thing. For me, the two big problems that I was having with Xamarin Forms in the beginning was the Android LSK, and also the installation of Xamarin was very awful. But now with the Visual Studio installer, it is so better. So the installation is not a problem anymore, but the Android SK has a lot of things. But if these tools are working good, I think that in the future you won't think about this anymore. So let's take a look to these tools. It could be amazing that you can install just your LSK and then the tool manages it. Let's take a look to that and see what happens. Another thing to talk about is what is going to happen with the new technologies, maybe the chat bots or the IoT or blockchain. There is a lot of new technologies. You can integrate with Azure Cloud and maybe use some Azure services to interact with bots or IoT or blockchain. So I really want to have more tools to do this. Today is very limited the thing that you can do with that, but I think that is a challenge, and it's happening now that there is a lot of tools to be created, and there is a lot of people working on that. So I'm really optimistic about this thing, and I think in a few months we will have a lot of tools and new integrations to these technologies that are very interesting, and they are necessary to the mobile development because you just do whatever you want in the mobile devices. Another issue that is a challenge in the future is the compatibility Windows and iOS. If you are working with a Mac, you can't create the universal window platform solution, and if you are working with Windows, you can't deploy directly in the iPhone. So it is a problem of compatibility that is improving. You have some alternatives, but it's still a problem. So I think that in the future the challenge is to reduce these problems and have full compatibility between these platforms. And another thing is the hot reload. There is some plugins that do the hot reload to the views of the mobile development. Maybe it's a thing that a lot of developers ask for because they use it in another development frameworks as React Native. They are very used to the hot reload and ask it for Xamarin. So I think that is another challenge to integrate. There is some plugins that does it, and they work well. So I think that another challenge is to have it in the usual development of Xamarin. So I think that Xamarin is still a very good tool, very good framework to work with. I think that the native performance that it has is a very strong weapon that Xamarin has against the other frameworks as React Native or maybe the hybrid solution as PhoneGap or Ionic. It is a very good thing, and also if you are a .NET developer, it is still the best solution because you don't have to learn a new language, and you can use all the .NET Core framework and libraries to develop. You use the same way to develop, and that is a great thing for .NET developers. I am a .NET developer, and I'm very comfortable with this framework. I really like Xamarin, and there is a lot of improvements month by month. There is a team working and improve this, and I really appreciate that. And the Xamarin team is very cool. You have a lot of videos, a lot of documentation, and for me it's still a very good option to work with. And I think that you have to take a look to all frameworks, but Xamarin is still a very good choice. It's the one that I chose for work. So I really recommend still to use it and to take a look to these new tools that are very cool. As I said, Shell is a very new thing, and you can use it taking care of maybe doing some limited functionality, but it's still a very good thing to do, and I really recommend to test it and to to improve the development with your own tools and maybe propose your own controls and views. So that was all that I have prepared for this presentation. I really want to have your opinions. I don't know if you have any question, but you can contact me in the social networks as at Sebastián Pérez, and maybe in my Twitter account or in Instagram. You can look for me and ask all the questions that you have, or maybe if you want to talk about these topics, or maybe if you want to participate in one of the Buenos Aires events, just write me and we could talk about that. So thank you very much. If you have any question, you can ask for it.
Okay, Sebas. So let me see here. I think it's not. So also you leave your comments for who want to contact you. So thank you so much, Sebas, and for the awesome presentation. And I'm so happy you accepted our invite to be talking here. And remember, here in Brazil, we have Visual Studio Summit happening too. That on this Friday and Saturday, and Sebastián will be talking with us too, and to be awesome events. Okay, Sebas, thank you so much for the awesome presentation.
Thank you, Orlando, for all the invitation and to the opportunity.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I hope I can bring you more events so we can have this interaction between MVPs from different countries, and this is really awesome for me. Can promote this kind of events that has we have this interaction of all Latin America. Okay. So guys.
Okay, thank you
so much, and that's it.